visual brand startup coach. And tonight, we are going to be talking about the difference between an LLC and an LLP. I would say that these are some must knows before you start your business. Okay, so we're going to be getting into this momentarily. Um, so I do have some cheat notes, and I'm not going to be with you guys long. And I also want to thank you guys who subscribe to my channel. And feel free to leave your comments. And those that are viewing tonight, I'm going to ask that, if you find this information helpful, that you will hit that like button and that subscribe button. So I'm going to be going into it now. So we're going to be talking about the difference between an LLC and an LLP. So one of the things I'm going to talk about is an LLC is a limited liability partnership. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard that before. And when we look at the LLP, that is a limited liability partnership. So, which there are two different business entities. However, they do have a lot of similarities, and I'm not going to go into similarities until probably next week. So we saying the limited liability partnership, and when we look at the limited liability company, when we look at an LLC, individuals that work that's a part of the LLC or ownership of the LLC are called members. They're not called partners, which is a totally different, I would say. So they are basically called members of the LLC, and an LLC can have more than one members. You can have several members are part of the LLC, which they would be part of the ownership of the LLC, which they most likely would have like the same level of authority, unless you put on your LLC when you're doing the paperwork. You can say that you want this individual to be a manager. So other than that, there's no high uppers when you have multiple people that's a part of that LLC. So keep that in mind if you're starting a business. So when we look at the LLP, individuals that are part of the LLC would be called partners. Okay, so there's two types of partners that I'm going to discuss. One is the limited partner, and then there's a general partner. So let's start with the general partner. So the general partner is going to be individual or individuals that will actually be helping to manage the company, the day-to-day management of the company. However, a limited liability partner would only be an investor in the company. So they'll be hands off in terms of being a part of the company. So you definitely want to keep that in mind when you looking to, if you're looking into, the business entity of an LLP. These are things that, you should know. So let's move on. So as far as the duties of an LLP, which I had already went over, one manage and one invest. Now we're going to talk about the ownership. Let's talk about some ownership roles. So if in terms of an LLP, only an individual can actually own an LLP. Now, if you are looking to go with an LLC, you can be a trust And you can be an organization, and you can actually, you know, own an LLC. You can start an LLC, like a trust, and also another LLC company can also start an LLC. But an LLP is only owned by an individual. They're only owned by individuals, not large groups of people at once. So the thing with an LLP, there is a lot of restrictions with an LLP. And also, if you are like an accountant, a lawyer, and I think there's an architect, there's certain restrictions that they put on those particular industries when they're starting an LLP. In certain states, LLPs are restricted among certain states. They don't allow them to open up an LLP in certain states. So there's something that you may want to look into if you happen to want to you want to travel or move. You want to make sure that if you interested in LLP, can I actually start an LLP in this particular state? So LLCs are like you have so much freedom with an LLC. And so that's why most people do choose an LLC, because there's a lot of flexibility, in terms of ownership and things such as that. So that's something to keep in mind. So we're gonna move on to liability, and so the LLP is the limited liability, and that means that you can't. That means that individual cannot run the company. If you are an LLP, in which we talked about earlier, that individual cannot, that limited liability person is not allowed to run that company. I don't know why maybe I went back over it again for somebody else. So in terms of, we're going to be going to our last point, and we're talking about restrictions, which I think I had went over restrictions already. So basically, that is really, I'm actually coming down to the end of this. And for you guys that was viewing the video, or have questions, you're starting a business, feel free to reach out to me. I'm your visual brand startup coach. And what I do is I help individuals move from a side hustle to a business. So if you have any questions about tonight, feel free to just send me a message. And I guess on this note, I am going to be actually logging off here. This is actually a new this is actually a new app that I am using. So but I thank everybody for joining, and everyone have a fantastic evening.